This is TWiT.
So you marked a story that I found interesting too. Google looks to reduce pushback bias in developers' software code review. And since I'm not a coder, I didn't really understand that there's anonymous, or there's software review where people judge your stuff, and that they're finding that when people know it's Black, Latinx, Asian women face more code pushback than white male engineers, and as a result, it costs more money to go back and deal with all of these reviews. So they're thinking of switching to anonymous review. I found that interesting, to say the least.
I saw that, and I guess I was a bit naive. I assumed that a code review was code review. I've been in that, what is it called? The SDLC, software development life cycle, where the developers, they put their code in place and so forth, and they have to test it out, and then it goes through a code review from one of their peers. And, well, not one of their peers, a group of their peers, to make sure things are right. And there's a lot of back and forth on that. So I just assume that it's a situation where everybody's on the same team and has the same goal of, we want to get this product out and successful and bug-free. Of course, it's never going to be bug-free, but you're always hoping it's bug-free. Right.
Everything's politics. Everything's politics. The numbers in this story,
I was just
from a Google study,
I had no idea that it was that, and I totally commend
Makes sense when you know it.
Yeah.
So the numbers are this.
To do this.
They found that at Google, women face 21% higher odds of pushback than men during code review. Black developers, 54% higher than white developers. Latinx, 15% higher. Asian, 42% higher, given a high population of Asian developers. This is shocking.
Is it though?
And I'm not surprised once I know it. I'm not surprised once I know it. But it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I was totally naive. I would have never guessed it. But again, that's me looking at the world to my own view because of the situations I've been in, and in those different offices and departments, it was a legit team effort. Just like if I were playing.
You didn't
ball.
feel you saw
not one time.
Stacey, what about it from editing?
From editing, I
Did
definitely
you feel you got treated differently?
Yes, sometimes. I mean, it depends on the editor, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, and I also got treated differently when I was editing someone and how they would react to my edits.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
what Google's thinking of doing is switching to an anonymous system. And I'm not really in the academe, right? I'm a poseur, I'm a faker, I'm just a journalism professor. But my new book coming out, Gutenberg Parenthesis, is being put out by an academic press. So it was sent out for review. And I was nervous as hell what was going to happen. And it was sent out to, I didn't know who it was sent back to. I got a note back, which was helpful. It was supportive, but also critical in some areas. And I deserved the criticism in those areas. And I changed the book as a result. And then, interestingly, the reviewer decided to out himself. And somebody I respect greatly, I knew of. And he did that. I thought it was a very generous act because then that allowed me to have a conversation with him about the book and ask questions in greater detail. And so, but I always hear in the academe, you always hear the joke about reviewer number two. The reviewer number two basically is going to tell you that you didn't cite my book, so I'm gonna, but I'm not saying it's my book because I'm anonymous, but I'm going to tear you over the coals because you didn't take my book. And so anonymity has its political issues too. But I think this makes perfect sense given the data here that, geez, they should switch to anonymous. Stacey?
Well, it's possible depending, I mean, like, as an editor, or as a writer and as an editor, really, knowing whose work I was editing or whose work who was editing my work, I'm not going to lie. When I was at Fortune, some of my editors had no freaking clue about what I was writing about. And, I tried to explain it, and I would always try to take their, oh, I clearly did not explain this well. But, there were some things that I was just like, oh, God, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, no. And I could easily figure that out based on who was editing me. I don't know if that's good or not now that I think about it. I'm like, maybe I would have been a better writer if I had just said, clearly I'm not making my point across to everyone. But can you? I don't know.
I have become editorially feral. Blogging did it to me. Right? I don't want editing.
I can't imagine when you were not feral, when you were constrained.
Hey. Yeah. No, in fact, I'm nervous about the book because I almost wish there were another reviewer because it's a big project and I don't want to screw up, and so I want that backup. But yeah, when it comes to just basic, I have pulled magazine pieces because they butchered them, and I said no, I'm not doing it. Just not doing it. I'm too old now. Bye. Then I go meow under a porch somewhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll argue with people. But I'm typically, like, I love editing. I love my editors. I think they're the best people on the planet most of the time. So,
but you've had some bad editors. Tell me you've had some bad editors.
Oh, my God, I've had terrible editors.
Oh, yeah.
But looking at code review versus you all in your writing, that code is either going to run or it ain't. And if it does run, can it run more efficiently if you have specific calls and stuff like that? That's why I was so naive to all of this, because I figure, when the review comes in and the reviewing team says, you know what, maybe you should look at this function, or maybe you should look at this call, whatever. I figure that's just for the better of the team. I would have never assumed this was, oh gosh, this woman doesn't know what she's talking about. Look at this. She doesn't understand inheritance and whatever. I would have never thought that.
But would it matter if, like, someone was an expert in Go versus, I don't know, Erlang or Java, or, that's when the who might matter in a code review? But I don't really know if you're just saying, hey, does it work or not?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Hello, experts, of which we are not any.
Well, exactly. Right. Leo, as a coder, would be able to say better. Yeah, I guess one of the issues, does it run or not, is key. Is it efficient and elegant or not? Efficient or not is a key. Elegance is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's better code. Documentation. Yeah, I think I sympathize with you, Ant. It would seem to me these are more rational things, which is why, again, the data bias is never surprising, but bias in this area at that level is kind of surprising, just because it's people going after people. Technology is a funny thing. When I worked at Time Inc., we had fights over what editorial systems to buy, and I was in the middle of those fights. And I was always amazed how people could spend political capital over something so boring as what computer we wrote on. But people just they use any opportunity to be over somebody else and use power in that way. And it comes out in all kinds of weird ways, like technology. So